Berdzorը եւ Aghavnon դրանք պորտալարն են Արցախի, որից կտրելով հիմք է դրվում Արցախի հայաթափությանը.
Berdzor and Aghavno are the umbilical cord of Artsakh, and cutting that umbilical cord will lay the foundation for the emptying of Armenians of Artsakh. This will put an end to alimentation for Artsakh. And there are already many concerned Armenians in Stepanakert who are sending us letters stating that they will be compelled to start considering leaving Artsakh after the handover of Berdzor. Moreover, among them there are many large families.
Ընդհանրապես, գիտեք, երբ որ մենք խոսում ենք առաջի հանրապետության իրավահաջորդության մասին, ազգերի լիգայի որոշման մասին, շատերը դա անցալում են որպես abstract theoretic խոսակցություն.
In general, when we talk about the succession of the First Republic of Armenia and the decision of the League of Nations, many people view this as abstract and theoretical and fail to understand that the roots of the issue trace back to the succession and the decision. Let's ask ourselves why the issue of Berdzor and Aghavno has emerged and why scoundrels like Vigen Khachaturian say that we Armenians are returning what does not belong to us. What is yours is being ceded and such balderdash. It is simply because Artsakh has not existed at all for the Armenian authorities for the past 30 consecutive years, starting from Levon Ter-Petrosyan and ending with the current puppets. For them, there was the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast, or the NKAO, that wretched piece of land that was drawn by Stalin, the land which they considered Artsakh. Consequently, and obviously, the remaining 7 regions became occupied regions. We Armenians became occupants. Berdzor is not ours, Aghavno is not ours, etc. As they say, this is where the dog is buried. After the first war in Artsakh, we succeeded in breaking the status quo, partially, at least in the eastern sector. It was the status quo that the Russians and Turks formed after the signing of the Treaty of Moscow. Of course, we succeeded in doing this due to the bravery and self-sacrifice of our heroes. But we mainly succeeded since Russia was weakened back then and the moment was favorable. However, this was a matter of concern for the Russians and Turks for 30 years. They were waiting for the opportune moment to retrieve everything and reinstate the status quo and were slowly creating a favorable situation for this. That is, they were debilitating Armenia and arming Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, they eventually succeeded. The reason for their success is a direct link to the war in Ukraine, something that not many people understand.
Մենք ասել ենք եւ շարունակում ենք պնդել, որ Արցախյան երկրորդ պատերազմը 44 օրյա պատերազմը նախապատրաստությունն էր, նախերգանքն էր ուկրաինական պատերազմի.
The National Democratic Alliance has said and continues to claim that the second war in Artsakh, that is, the 44-day war, was the prelude to the war in Ukraine. Once again, Putin handed over Artsakh and Armenian territories and interests to the Turks, and in exchange it has military presence in Artsakh and the Caucasus, and at least neutral and many times pro-Russian stance of Turkey and Azerbaijan on Russia's major battle, that is to say, the battle in Ukraine. So, the war in Artsakh is directly linked to the war in Ukraine, and we always stress this during the meetings with our US partners. The next issue is that these authorities are misleading the people by telling them that they have no other choice, that they need to hand them over or there will be war, etc. Here we need to make 2 statements. First, intimidating with war, by avoiding war and by handing over territories with the purpose of the so-called prevention of war, you will bring a new war closer because it would be immature to think that we Armenians will favor the Turks by handing over Berdzor and Aghavno. No and no. On the contrary, the Turks' appetite will grow. The Turks have always stated that Syunik province is also theirs, Yerevan is also theirs, Lake Sevan is also theirs, etc. The second statement is that these authorities, which have been in power for the past 4 years, have not made any efforts to prepare for the new war. Over the past 4 years, they have not strengthened the army and have not purchased new weapons. On the contrary, they have debilitated and destroyed all that existed, have broken up the army, and the moral psychological situation has become even worse. Let me share a simple fact. Almost 2 years have passed since the end of the war, but shelters have not been dug on the front line, and our soldiers, who are in a vulnerable state, are protecting the border under an open sky. So, as they say, everything is very clear. The only way out of this is to solve the issue at the squares in Yerevan. During the events related to Sevlich, Shurnukh, Parukh, or the capture in Khatsabert, people would tell us to take weapons and go and protect the border or retrieve Sevlich instead of holding rallies and demonstrations. But we say that the issues related to Aghavno, Sevlich, Parukh, Syunik province and Geghardkunik province will be solved at the squares in Yerevan. All this is an effect, and the cause of all this is the incompetent government, the absence of sovereignty of Armenia as such, and this issue needs to be solved at the squares in Yerevan. When a national government is formed in Armenia, all the other issues, which are the effects, will be solved one after another the very next day.
Իսկ դա պիտի լուծվի Երևանի հրապարակներում այն ժամանակից, երբ որ Հայաստանում կձևավորվի ազգային իշխանություն, հաջորդ իսկ օրը մնացած խնդիրները որպես հետևանք պատճառը վերացնելուց հետո մեկը մյուսի հետևից կվերանան։
Բաժանորդագրվեք ազգային ժողովրդավարական բևեռի YouTube-յան ալիքին։